Hello and welcome back to another week of Stambo iRacing. We're back in the Aston Martin Vantage GT4, this time at Red Bull Ring for yet another track guide. But it's not me behind the wheel, it's Gianni Lutzu. If you don't know who he is, real-time racing driver. He's a full-time driver coach. He's the guy that got me from 1200 iRating up to 5.5k. And there is a link in the description if you want to avail yourself of his services. Well worth checking out. Also, you guys have been asking for it, so we have started making setups now. If you didn't already know, there is a link to our Patreon page in the description. Also, if you want to race this very setup, with it you get the race, the wet and dry race and quali, and the wet and dry endurance also. Anyway, let's start the hot lap. So we are smashing it down the main straight, looking for our braking marker into turn 1, which is going to be just before the 100 board. We brake up to about 70%, wide the speed off down to third gear, exit nice and wide. Don't want to be any wider than that really. And now we go up the hill, very straightforward. If you do go to our Patreon page and buy this, you do get the wet setups and endurance as well. Just before the 100, once again braking up to about 75%, down to second gear. It's all very relaxed. Smoothly back on with the gas to avoid the traction control kicking in. And now, just before the 100 board, once more, all the way down to third gear, cutting the corner, back on the gas, nice and relaxed. We're going to head over to the right-hand side. Just before the 50 board this time, on the brakes, which about 45%, as you can see, longish trail off, keep it in fourth gear, smoothly back on the gas. Looking for the end of the litter tray on the right-hand side, on the brakes, picking up on the gas in fourth gear once again. This is so much smoother than when I was driving this, and he's also faster as well. I kept dropping it into third rather than fourth. I shall try this. Right, just before the 50 board, or just after the 100, on the brakes up to about 60%, down to fourth gear, exit nice and wide, and at the end of the red asphalt on the left is when he brakes for the final corner. And over and across the line he goes in a 1:36.5. Right, we'll do the brake. Okay, so the breakdown. First braking marker is going to be just before the 100 board on the left-hand side. So I'll show you exactly when it is. Right, so this is when he gets on it. And he holds it at around 70% until we get to here. Now he starts turning in and he trails off back on the gas on the apex in third gear. Back up the hill, and again it's going to be just before the 100 board on the left hand side as we come into turn 3, so as you can see. And again, holding it this time slightly higher at around 75%. Again, just trying to avoid that ABS. You can drive faster in a single lap, however, Gianni always shows you the best way to actually drive throughout an entire race. So do be aware of that. If you see some guides that sometimes are slightly faster and they're doing 100% braking, your tyres will die. Right, next braking marker just before the 100 again on the left-hand side. Holding it around 75%, trailing it off down to the apex back on the gas in third gear. Head over to the right-hand side now. It's just before the 50 board this time. And we're holding it at around 45%, but then it's a long trail off. Leave it in fourth gear, and we'll start picking back up on the gas here, halfway around the corner. But he doesn't reach 100% until we're almost at exit. Okay, so this time, next braking marker is going to be the end of the gravel on the right-hand side, or the end of the rumble strips ahead. So as you can see, we're just there now. Just goes briefly up to about 35%. Trails it off and then picks back up in the gas in fourth gear, mid-corner. Two more braking markers to go. Right, next one just after the 100. He holds it around 55, drops it down to fourth, or trails it off, gets back on the gas in fourth gear on the corner. And the final one, just as we come to the end of this red asphalt, which is actually the Austrian flag. So when he gets on the brakes up to about 55%, quick trail off, back on the gas in fourth gear, just ahead of the no-cut curb. That's as wide as you can exit without the off-track. And over and across the line he goes. So we've got one final version coming up next with the driving line on without me talking. Enjoy.